And what I'm saying is you need a good barbecue shoe on you.
A barbecue? Don't tell me there's a barbecue shoe.
It looks like you've been having it off with Marge Simpson.
Oh, it really is yellow, yeah. I've swallowed bark.
Oh, God.
How are your balls, Chris?
I think they're okay. Thank you, Abby. Things I never thought you'd ask me. I mean, wow, I just had a flashback to being younger then.
Hello and welcome to that Peter Crouch podcast with me, Peter Crouch, with Chris Stark and Statman Dave. We're in the pub. I'm doing something today with my wife and she's tagged along. San Marino's with us as well for the moment.
Well, you check in occasionally, don't you? You like to.
It's good to check in, isn't it?
Mm.
How's things been going?
Well, first of all, I want to change my name to Jose Enrique instead of San Marino.
San Marino.
I don't think you understand.
You're getting the wrong end of the stick here, I think.
Yeah.
Well, San Marino are not a very good nation, footballing nation, and they...
Oh, it's not a person?
No, it's a nation.
Hold on.
His name was San Marino?
Did you think it was San Marino or San Marino?
I thought it was San Marino.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, it's not a person. It's a nation.
No, it's a team. It's a nation.
Oh, fuck.
But they're not very good, and they kick off every 10 minutes. They concede and kick off.
Why'd you call me that? Not very good and kick off every 10 minutes. Don't really like that kind of...
Bit on. Oh, yeah,
kick off it's right, but they're not very good. It's a bit harsh.
So what's going on with you? What are you up to?
What am I up to? Why am I here?
Yeah.
I'm just waiting to go for my smear.
Oh my God.
I'm just going to be honest.
We're out of our depth.
So, yeah.
We don't really... I mean, obviously, we don't do that. I think it's very good.
Do you not tackle women's health on your podcast?
Not normally, but...
To what depth are we going to, so to speak, discuss this? I don't know.
I think it's important. As it's nothing to be ashamed of.
No?
We women have to do this every year.
It's not normally what we discuss here, but, you know, it's a good issue.
Ball health is equally as important.
Ball health.
Yeah,
Check
it's
your
just
balls.
weird vibes.
Prostate as well, Crouchy, very important.
Yeah.
How are your balls, Chris?
I think they're okay. Thank you, Abby. Things I never thought you'd ask me. I mean, wow, I just had a flashback to being younger then.
What do you mean?
No, I just like, don't worry.
Is that what young people say to each other?
No, it's just...
How's your balls?
Madness, isn't it? Smears and beers.
No, so that's why I'm here. I'm waiting. I've got an hour to kill.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd pop in on you lot.
Oh, it's great to have you along.
See what you're doing.
All right. Well, it's been great. I mean...
Yeah.
Check your balls, guys.
Yeah. It's actually a very fair point. You should check balls.
You should. It's no laughing matter.
No, without doubt. And what are you making of the season so far? Football season.
There's one. I only noticed that Everton had their playoff last night. The playoff.
Everton had the playoff.
No, because it was the game to see if they were going to go down. Like, I know you try and make me look stupid, but I've got no interest in football.
Yeah, but I quite like hearing your take on football because I know you have absolutely no interest.
But that's it. You have no interest in it, but you do kind of have to have some interest in it because it means a lot to your husband.
No, it's
right?
bizarre because I subconsciously take in information because, like, when Pete throws these football questions around, I know all the answers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do I know?
How do I know that?
What was it? What was the answer to that question that I know?
I just couldn't believe. Like the other day, like she was coming up with some really good guesses, and I was like, "How do you even know these players?"
I don't. It's just probably over the years I've heard all of this, and it's just gone in somehow.
Just osmosis, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
it just
sort
goes
of
in, and
like-
it shouldn't.
But no,
Yeah, I think what she's referring to is obviously Everton had a big game last night. They drew. I thought they did play quite well, but it wasn't necessarily a playoff. It was just a big game for them.
But we're right at the tail end of the season now. You, who do you think's going to win?
well, we've got a family group, and there's a lot of banter going between my dad and my sister's boyfriend. He's a Man U fan. My dad's obviously a Liverpool fan. So there's a lot of abuse.
I see that
held.
Liverpool might do it this season.
Well, no, because I've heard that they're not even in the Champions
great.
League, are they?
Yeah,
No,
well done.
Knocked
Good.
out of both the cup competitions. Not even going to get Champions League football.
Europa, though.
Maybe the Conference League for Liverpool this season.
But yeah, I just hope Everton don't go down. Basically, that's my message of the day.
Yeah, well, thank you. And have you?
This is to Sean Dyche.
Like,
Everton don't go
I
down.
love Sean Dyche.
Yeah. Well, he's the manager there now.
Oh, they'll stay up then if Sean's the manager.
Yeah.
last time I saw you was Crouch Fest, I think. That would have been last time. Did you enjoy that night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a bizarre
What was your
night.
perception of the whole thing?
I just think it was incredible that you managed to pull that off. You know, to sell out Wembley, Kasabian headlining, all the amazing action guests you had on Pol Pot, everyone. I just thought I was so impressed.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, hats off to you all. Thought it was absolutely fantastic. How was it? Were you terrified?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It was kind of strange because I think we were fine during the day, and then you two, before going on, I think it kind of changed where you were like, oh, we've got to do this now. And I was just in that really weird mindset. I was like, I'm just ready for this. I'm ready for the Champions League. I'm just ready to go.
It's fight or flight, isn't it really? Like if I saw that crowd, I'd die and like run away. But I thought you did an incredible job. And I can't wait for the next one.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Whoa, you're announcing something.
I mean, are we doing that?
Well, I don't know.
Are we doing that?
No, this is great. This is manager talk.
Yeah, I think we should.
Oh yeah, Crouch Fest 3's got to happen, and it will happen. You know, we've got a few hurdles to jump through, Carls to get through, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Through Carls to get through. We were talking about Carlos, which is the Carl we were.
You were talking about Karl Lagerfeld, weren't you? And I said,
Was this because of the Met Gala?
Oh yeah.
That was it.
See, I know some fashion things as well. Abby.
Down with the cool kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a few people. Have you seen them with those t-shirts? There's like Karl Lagerfeld t-shirts. It just says like Carl on the front.
Yeah.
I had loads of people sending me like on Twitter, like, look at this Carl here.
Yeah.
We should rip them off and just have on the back, piss off.
Yeah.
Do you know, it would be good for Abby, like, I don't know, I feel like we miss a trick with the fashion on this podcast. Like, we should be nailing it. Do you know what I mean? Not particularly what we wear, but kind of we should have a range out there by now, don't you think?
We should set up a photo shoot and get you all in it. And I think it'd just fly.
Off the shelves. What would be the first one that you'd wear? Piss off, Carl.
Well, I had the parched for Crouch Fest, didn't I? We had the parched hoodie.
Well, we did it briefly, didn't we? We sort of got some shirts and things like that. But I'm talking high-end fashion. Do you know what I mean?
Like bring out your own range?
Well, like the Gucci collab.
Like P.
It should
Diddy?
be like Gucci with that Peter Crouch podcast.
First collab.
That's what I'm imagining. Like Gucci, then X,
Yeah.
then that Peter Crouch.
Yeah.
And then work backwards from Gucci. Burton's. Which I'm sure are a great brand, but you do what I mean? And we go.
Where do men go for their clothes? If it's not designer, like where'd you go? Like
Urban Outfitters.
River Island.
That's a bit young, though, isn't it?
You've been to River.
Some stuff. You need to pick your stuff, don't you?
Tootall.com.
Giacomo, is it?
Don't look at these I'm wearing today.
They're not.
Too tall.
They're not. They're Tom Sweeney.
These are too tall.
Oh, are they? They look nice, actually.
What's the brand? Too Tall.
It's too tall, yeah. Genuinely.
Are they big? Are they? Right.
It's for the taller gentlemen.
I think it's hard
but you
for
don't
men.
have to be really fat. You can just be like, slim and long.
Yeah.
And also, honestly, everyone I meet who's slim and long, like, follows them. I have a look and it's like Dan Walker, Vernon Kay.
Oh, really?
Who the hell's Dan Walker?
Yeah, Dan Walker from, he's on Channel 5 now, isn't he?
Yeah.
BBC News.
Never
You know
heard.
Dan Walker, Football
of course you do.
Focus.
Football Focus. You'd know exactly who he is.
Who else is long and then?
Richard Osman.
Stephen Merchant. Richard
Stephen
Osman. Honestly, everyone follows them.
They're all
unreal.
on there.
It's reasonably
The
priced.
BFG.
And it's it fits. I mean, look at me, I look fantastic.
Yeah. Well, you do. Is there a service for like short fat legs like mine? Because
Sure.
honestly, getting trousers for someone like me, I have
What
the
about
opposite problem.
Gap Kids?
Yeah, but you'd have to be like fat Gap kids.
Fat Gap kids.
You could fit into like an age 13 to 14 in Gap.
I could, but as I say, they'd have to have like a wide
I've
waist.
seen that somewhere.
What fat Gap
Next.
kids?
Next, do a
Don't think it's
bigger.
out there. I don't think
Next,
you
do
can say that.
a bigger kids range.
Do they? A bigger kids range?
Range.
Yeah, but I'm not that small, Abby. Like what I'm talking about is my legs are a disproportionate size to my body. So I end up in this bizarre situation where most jeans aren't. It's like lengthwise they don't match up with the waist currently.
Yeah.
So what I
Got like a
need.
built-in slipper.
So what I need for my fat ass, I need a wide but short leg.
Oh God, you're asking the wrong people. Yeah,
Tablecloth.
you have no clue. My kids aren't even that.
I know. It's a real problem.
I can't. It's just totally the
See,
opposite
if
problem.
you were a girl, it'd be so easy because you could just wear skirts.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you wear skirts,
Why
Chris?
can't you? It's
Yeah, well,
2023.
yeah. Be
You do what
free.
you like these
Yeah.
days.
ASAP Rocky wore a skirt to the Met Gala, a kilt.
Same.
Right, do you still need me?
No.
It's always good to see you.
Yeah,
And
it's good to just check in, isn't it?
I'll have a little look for some pants for you.
I think it would just be good to have you across some of the sort of the fashion angle on this podcast. Potential collaborations. I think we relook at the merch because I think it was good and it did a job. But I'm talking like blazers, like shoes, like proper. You know, let's fucking go.
Blazers.
Do you know what I mean?
What about like a biker jacket, like a bomber jacket with like all the
Great. Now we're talking. No one does
Cats,
Yeezys anymore.
cats?
It needs to be a shoe named after the
Oh my God,
podcast, but they look like football
We
boots.
could have Yeezys now. No, Kanye's gone.
Yep, he's gone.
Yeah.
Finished.
Gone from Yeezy.
we'll
Gone
take
from
it.
Yeezy. I mean,
Oh, is it?
not gone.
Oh, he's finished now.
All stuff to think about.
So I appreciate it. Appreciate that. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Well, I'm actually,
I don't know. What do you say?
I'm actually really nervous about it because it's not something I like or enjoy.
It's not. I can't imagine you do.
Because I'm terrified of everything, aren't I? And I have to go on my own. You can't even come with me.
No.
He's in the pub.
Got to stay here.
He's working.
Stay.
I know, yeah.
Got to stay for hours now.
Yeah, so it's, have a good one, I guess.
All right.
Good luck, babe.
Well,
Thanks.
good luck.
Hope it all goes well.
Hopefully I'm not dying. Bye.
Okay. Yeah.
So, smears and beers, lads.
Smears and beers.
It's a different vibe. We've had a couple of good guests on the last couple of weeks, haven't we? Like Jason Sudeikis and Jamie Carragher. And I have to say, I saw him at the football the other day as well, Jason.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and he was great. He was great.
Did he have a good time with the podcast?
He loved it, and I thought he was great. And like I say, it's good to get guests on. Obviously, we'll do this one just us today, but getting people like Jamie Carragher and Jason Sudeikis on, it's been great, isn't it? We'll have some more guests in the future.
Yeah. It's tricky. I think it's tricky in your punditry job as well when you don't quite know the name of the player. Because that's what you did with him. You tried to hit it with a bit of pace. If you haven't heard this episode yet, Crouchy couldn't pronounce Ted Lasso's name, but had to at the start. And you just kind of went at it quite quickly, didn't you?
I went quick, but I quietened down on the bit I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure if it was day or die or D.
We'll play you a little clip now. If you haven't heard it, why don't you just have a quick listen to this? This is how he pronounces. Go do it one more time correctly.
Jason Sudeikis.
And this is what happened when Crouch introduced him on the last podcast.
Hello and welcome back to That Peter Crouch podcast with me, Peter Crouch. I'm joined by Chris Stark and Statman Dave as usual, and a very special guest, Mr. Ted Lasso himself, Jason Sudeikis.
Hello, hello. How are you?
All good?
It's like the first day of school. And we're like, how do you say it? I don't know. My dad says Sudeikis. I don't know if it is.
Amazing. It's not quite right, is it? But I can see what you've done. But this must happen in your job all the time.
Yeah, there's a few. There's the Napoli guy, right?
Kravatscalia.
Kravatscalia.
But that's one of many ways to say it.
But what about his first name as well?
Kavici? Kavicha?
Kavica Kravatscalia, right?
But what you do is you try and overpronounce it.
Maybe I should just slow down, Kravatscalia.
That was actually bang on, I think.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
But like, he's such a good player as well, and I really like him, and I really want to talk about him, but I just don't.
What about...
He's losing out. I've done a few of his games this year.
There's like ways of getting around it, isn't it? Where you go the Napoli number or number 77 or the left winger, but you can't do. You have to drop it in a few times
It's
at
not
least.
as good, it's not as good. But I did drop it in because I thought I just got to talk about him because he's playing really well. Kravatscalia. I'm all right with it now, but I just had to constantly repeat it.
What about when you've got to try put an accent on the name just for a bit of authenticity?
This is the issue.
Have we spoken about this before? Because some players you do it naturally and it's easy. Thierry Henry, right? But when you think about it, you're not going Thierry Henry, are
There's
you?
certain things that you've said all your life, right, that I'm now finding out aren't correct, and you can't then sort of unsay them. Do you know what I mean? Like, how would you say AC and Inter Milan's ground?
The Giuseppe Meazza.
Oh, Yeah, all right. I'm not just a normal name, please.
On the San Siro. It's actually
I'll be honest, I just looked at him and was like, what the fuck is that?
How would you say it?
San Siro.
Right, yeah, so you got that right. So it's not the San Siro.
just San Siro.
It's just San Siro.
Oh.
For years, I've been going, you've got Milan in the San Siro. That's how the sentence is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's not the San Siro, it's San Siro.
Okay, but do they try and correct you on that? Does someone correct you in your ear when you're doing that? Or are you just left
obviously
alone?
James Richardson is a
Yeah.
very talented broadcaster from, and did a lot of work in Italy.
Hmm.
And I think it's one of his bugbears that people say the San Siro.
Really?
It's hard to go back when
Well, we've got to test this. We've got to do, maybe next podcast, what we'll do is we'll give you 10 names and we'll just see how far you can get through it. Maybe they ramp up in complexity.
It's like the English way of saying it, and like when you go into like Manchester or Liverpool, like Anthony Marshall is Anthony Martial, but it's just because of the locals will call him a certain thing, and then it kind of like sticks to the player. Do you remember any players that you played with that was like that, where their name actually changed because you just...
Yeah, well, we had Johnny Brazil, and his name was Dionatan Texiera. But he was Brazilian, and no one knew what... Dionatan sounds like Jonathan to me.
It does.
So
actually.
he was just Johnny Brazil.
Was that just to you, or did the whole team call him Johnny Brazil?
No, it was just everyone called him Johnny B, yeah.
Lads, are you two okay? I saw on social media that you had a bit of beef, and I just wanted to bring it to the table and try and get over it, because you're really good mates, and I wouldn't want something like a barbecue to be a problem, Crouchy. So we got a tweet on the 1st of May from yourself,
I see
Crouchy.
you printed it off.
We've printed it off so we can, we can talk through every part of it. Nothing about this is fun. At Chris Stark, hashtag BBQC.
BBQC?
Yeah, we all know what that stands for.
Pissing down as well.
Yeah.
Talk me through the tweet.
It's just in reference to Chris telling me barbecuing was fun. Before bank holiday, I'll give it a go. I just didn't enjoy it at all. I was getting smoke in my eyes. It was raining. My slippers got a lot of stick. My gas barbecue came in for a lot of grief from these barbecue
Just
wankers.
everything about it's wrong. I do think we need to discuss it, because I'm really adamant that you get into barbecuing and find a joy in it that I've found. Right, I love barbecuing, and you've given it a go. But the thing is, you've got this massive gas barbecue. If you think about it, it's not really any different to just doing it in the oven.
Yeah, but this is what I think about barbecuing in general. Like I'm literally outside in the elements cooking.
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's something ingrained in, like, you're quite a manly man, aren't you? Like, I think there's something kind of ingrained, animalistic caveman, like.
I get it.
Where
I
you,
get it.
where
If
you
it's
go and
sunny
barbecue
and
the
stuff,
meat.
it's a good idea. I like that. I like it.
But it's not just that. It's all weathers, and I think you've gone out and you've done nothing. It's just burgers and sausages, isn't it?
No, I did a rack of lamb, I did lamb, I did chicken skewers, there was steak involved. Granted, I burnt it and needed some help from some members of family.
Yeah.
But, invariably I was out there the whole time, not cooking the whole time, but I was out there.
There is more to this thread, though, because you've come back, Chris, with you take the piss out of me for wearing shin pads, but this is the state of your barbecue game and footwear.
Yeah.
Hashtag slippery, CNT, hashtag Chumbawamba.
Well, we need to talk about the slippers on your feet, aren't we? Because
The elephant in the room.
yeah, the old slippery cunt over it.
That's rich, isn't it? Coming from a BBQC.
Got the old slipper C here. I mean, what is that about? Are these like your
Well, the
binnies?
slippers.
Are these like your binny outdoor?
No, listen, I wasn't expecting the whole point of the barbecue. I mean, underneath that hoodie I'm wearing, right, that's done up, over my head, is a nice t-shirt, which I was expecting to wear in British summertime. So I had a t-shirt on, I had to throw that on, and then I saw some slippers by the front door, which granted, I like them. They're Ugg slippers, they're nice and cozy. I wear them around the house sometimes. But it's also good to take the bins out.
They've drawn major heat online, haven't
well,
they?
it drew a lot of heat, yeah. It drew heat. But you know what? What am I supposed to do? Around the house?
I think slippers are meant to be inside, though, aren't they? I think
they
wearing
are,
them
really, but I'm
outside.
fucking barbecuing, aren't
Yeah,
I?
well, what I'm saying is you need a good barbecue shoe on you, I think.
A barbecue? Don't tell me there's a barbecue shoe.
Not yet.
They've got to be some sort of like Birkenstocks, right? with socks on.
Yeah.
That's the type of thing that you lot would do.
You need to act your age, mate. And also, it's just so stereotypically footballer to be wearing. What are they? Are they Uggs? Are they?
Yeah, they are Uggs.
Uggs
yeah.
outside like that.
What's stereotypically footballer
It's
about
just
that?
a bit like
twatty.
twatty. It is twat. That's it. It's just a bit. It's just a bit twatty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's the same as you on a smoker with your shin pads on. It's the exact same.
You see, I think you'd get so much more pleasure from a good smoker.
Yeah,
Crouchy.
yeah. But I think if I embrace it properly,
But I throw this offer out to you, and you never invite us round. I'm saying just bring me around for a day, and we'll just. It doesn't have to be a long cook. We'll just do 8 hours or something like that. We'll just do some ribs or something, right?
all right.
And we'll just stand
I'll give
there.
you a go.
Yeah, we'll just stand there and we'll barbecue and we'll drink some beers. And I think, you'll see it in a whole new light. We could film it, we could maybe just live stream it for 8 hours, 8, 10, however long you got.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Chris. Who's going to watch that? I don't want to be there myself. so imagine watching it on telly.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to be on telly, but we'll start. Dave, you can rig up a YouTube thing for us, can't you?
Yeah, well, we could flash from Dave's station to the barbecue scene, and hopefully we can keep people engaged.
Fuck, we've got the start of a channel here, haven't we? It's like Dave, isn't it? Statman Dave.
So we could take it over for a day, like Comic Relief or something like that. We could take, a channel over and just go, some barbecuing cunt throughout the day.
Barbecuing. We've got
how are we getting that, Dave's station.
We've got the premium rate late night stat line, and then football, of course. We could have a game of football and get a commentator on to do over that. And we'll just do it all in your garden.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I actually think it's a great idea. On the barbecuing thing, though, Crouchy, I do respect that you've given it a go, and it's a bit like me with my football. Is even though I've never played at your level, you recognise the grassroots of it, and that's what I see with you there. I see great potential. I see a guy doesn't
as well.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to respect the spacing on your burgers. It's amazing. What were you playing there? A 4-4-4?
Yeah. I mean, you've got to respect the spacing. The spacing's really good. I got lots of comments online for that. And what I've done there with the added burger that I've eaten, in fact, I've thrown a little kofty at the angle. Can you see?
I didn't spot that in the original one.
I've got the burgers there, and I've just slipped a little lamb kofta in the diag there.
That's lovely. So that kofta is shop bought kofta, isn't it?
Yeah, I smoked the sort of top ones. They're I'm slow cooking them a bit more. So although it's gas, I've still got the potential to progress.
We're going to do this. I think me and you, we're going to be around a barbecue and we're going to slow cook something. And you're right, no one might watch, but I'd like you to do it and just see if it's enlightening, and we go from there.
All right. Yeah,
all right,
sounds good.
We've got so many messages. I think, especially because of the last 2 podcasts, we've had guests. So look, thank you so much if you've sent in a message to this podcast. If you want to do so, you can email us peter.crouch@acast.com, or you can get onto our website and you could submit questions on there. That petercrouchpodcast.com. So just get on there and send over some questions.
Yeah, I think we should start here with a message from Kieran, just because we had Abby on the show there talk about fashion, and these are Gucci sort of loafers, really. I think you'll class them as. These are one of the worst pair of shoes I think I've ever seen. But we'll listen to what Kieran says. Hi, Peter. I have a one-time special offer. Got a pair of shiny, some would say shocking, silver Gucci shoes, perfect for the dance floor. You may be wondering who they belong to. A friend of mine who's a cleaner was given those from former Liverpool player Jose Enrique. For your information, these are a size 10, possibly with groovy Velcro straps, fit a size 11. Hopefully you take me up on this exclusive offer. So this is the swap shop. He's looking to swap those, and I am inclined to say that I would like to swap Charlie Adams boots for Jose Enrique shoes.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel.
This is big.
I like them. I don't like them. I fucking hate them. But they are so bad. They are good.
They look like the kind of things you'd go out to your gas barbecue in and Crouch Towers and cooking.
Yeah. No, they look like...
That's your barbecue shoe. Or it could be. I agree. I think we should do the swap, because actually we haven't swapped yet.
Yeah.
if you're new to this, we've got Charlie Adams boots. He used them for something we were filming. We're going to swap those boots for if the right sort of thing comes in. I thought we were going to swap the boots for the nuns. Do you remember the lads who offered to be nuns? I was quite keen to get those nuns sent round to Jamie Carragher's house just for a day. Do you know what I mean? Like do whatever he wants with them for a day.
These shoes though, like I think that, you know, the little cleats that the cyclists wear.
Do you want to swap for these then? Yeah,
I'd like to.
Can we check whether they're authentic Enrique Gucci shoes before we do it, or are we just going to gamble?
Can you get in touch with him?
I can get in touch with them, yeah.
Could you send a photo of the shoes and say, look, I'm potentially getting your shoes?
I could. Can you confirm that these rascals were yours?
But you think it looks about right, doesn't it?
I think they've got his name written all over them.
Okay, great. Well, it'd be good to get the swap on the way. And then I don't know what we do from now on in. I don't know if when we get the Gucci shoes, if like that's job done, or if we're meant to swap the Gucci shoes
we
forward.
swap up. We keep swapping.
Keep
don't
swapping
we?
up.
Just, you know, send your thing. If you want a pair of Jose Enrique's dancing shoes. Yeah, well, you know what? Well, let's see with these shoes. If we get these shoes, and if there's a big demand for the swap, then great. But you know what? If there's something that we really, really want, if you could offer something really good, we've got a Ted Lasso signed Richmond shirt to go along with the Gucci loafers here.
Oh yeah. Oh, we got it here actually. Look at that. Yeah, we got him to sign it. It's quite cool. What I quite like the idea is giving it away as a bundle to someone who'll go and enjoy a night out in.
Oh, now we're talking. Now we're talking.
So the Lasso shirt
and
the Gucci
loafers.
But you have to wear them with white trousers.
You could not wear them with white trousers. I think if you are a larger gentleman, you will. This is a medium, this shirt.
Yeah.
So
for scale, I don't think it even fits me.
No, it's So I don't know. I mean, that could be funny as well.
I actually think if you're small, medium, large, you'll make it work. It's a good enough prize. But we need someone that will promise to do a night out and ideally take some photos. Maybe we could give you the full Enrique experience. So if you win, I'll also try and arrange for you to be able to visit a local nightclub's VIP area. Like I'll try blag that for you.
Yeah, you DJ in these places, can't you? So could you get the selective person to get behind the rope to be treated like Jose Enrique for a night?
That's it. You win the Jose Enrique experience.
Well, Crouchy, I don't know whether you would.
A night party like Jose Enrique. What a prize.
In all honesty, like there's plenty of people out there who've always wanted to have a night out as, you know, imagine being Jose Enrique and just strolling through, the velvet rope in your Gucci shoe loafers.
Maybe but let's do this moving forward. Let's start with Jose Enrique, right? Why don't we start with him and then we'll pick another footballer, source an item of like garish clothing from them, and then you can win a night as ... And we move through a few of them.
Yeah, fantastic.
All right.
Well, so, get in touch if you want to win a night as Jose Enrique.
Yeah. I think we need a compelling reason why. So perhaps explain to us what your night out's going to consist of.
Yeah.
Your dream night out if you were Jose Enrique. So by that, we want your real local nightclub, the names of the pubs that you'd visit. We'll give it to the person most deserving. I don't think this is just a straight swap.
Stun me.
It's a separate prize, this. A night as Jose Enrique. We will put you in a VIP area of your local club and potentially maybe a suite in your nearest 3-star.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, you actually gave me the half Jose, didn't you? A few weeks ago in Blackpool, where I had the VIP backdoor experience.
What does that mean? Did you?
VIP backdoor experience in Blackpool.
Yeah, Dave.
Some fucking experience.
So that must have been when I left you.
So when did you leave him, Chris?
I left about 1 a.m.
You went straight for the VIP backdoor experience.
Oh, how funny is this, right? So I'm DJing in Blackpool, a busy night, and Dave contacts me, says he'd like to come along. I was like, fantastic. So then Dave's gone and he's booked himself a hotel in Blackpool. Yeah. Now the thing is, I've gone and DJed in Blackpool, and then I've come straight back to London straight after the gig. So not there very long. DJ, it was a lot of fun. I said to Dave, I was like, mate, do you need dropping anywhere locally? Like, we can drop you off at a nearby hotel or something. And he's like, nah, I fancy staying out. And now I find his VIP backdoor experience.
Yeah. What sort of time was that?
That was approximately 2:30, I think it was. You know, met some farmers. There was a farmer AGM there. We, got pally.
He's explaining to Crouchy.
And then,
he hasn't got a clue.
the backdoor experience.
There's a farmer's AGM there, so I had the backdoor experience with a load of farmers, Dave.
Dave met a load of farmers for a VIP backdoor experience.
Fucking hell, Dave.
Out of interest, what do you mean by a VIP backdoor experience? 'Cause I'm really confused.
As in, we entered the venue through the back door. We went through like the cellars, like the toilets, like where the office was, which is a different way to get into a club. Usually you queue in to get in, but we went through the back door.
You mean like backstage? That's where it
like
was.
backstage.
Yeah.
Maybe the back door was the wrong way to describe it.
Good. Well, I'm pleased you had a good time.
Yeah, listen, each to their own,
Didn't get through as many messages as we thought we might, but we might return to some at the end. All right. Today's podcast, we're talking about our footballing icons. Right. And I think this is quite a nice theme because we talk about a lot of legends on this podcast. And I think it's all, everyone's got different legends, and not necessarily that they're the best footballer or the greatest footballer. It could be a really personal reason as to why they're a football legend to you. And then also there are just some players that are legends in the game. I think you kind of respect them. It doesn't matter what club you support. Do you know what I mean, Crouchy?
Yeah, no, exactly what you mean. And yeah, of course, there's iconic people like George Best, Maradona, Gaza, Brazilian Ronaldo, like, obviously the current ones, Cristiano and Messi, obviously iconic. But then there's Justin Channing, there's Roy Wegley, Kerry Dixon. These are the people that were, in my heart when I was growing up. And there's no rhyme or reason for it. You just grow up and you love that player. You love that type of player. Oliver Bierhoff. Oliver Bierhoff was someone I discovered on Championship Manager, and he'll always remain close to my heart for that reason, because he was at Udinese and he was struggling and he was going nowhere. I signed him, and he obviously then became a World Cup winner. He played for AC Milan, great clubs, but I discovered him on Championship Manager.
All right, should we get into this then? Should we do it?
But let me ask you first, right? Who was your idol growing up? Who did you look up to?
Well, obviously, Watford fan. There was several Watford players that I absolutely loved. So Paul Robinson, Tommy Mooney, players of that kind of era. So for me, it was right at an age where they were legends to me. And look, I think I'd be the first to admit, not like the world's greatest players, but had such a kind of strong role in a team that I'd just kind of fallen in love with and was kind of everything going to see the matches. So for me, they were footballing icons in quite a local sense. I'm sure there's other people that would say those players are up there with some of their favourites. They were just so passionate. They really loved playing for the club that I loved. And I think that's another part of it as a fan, is the way you respect players that you really believe are doing everything within their power to kind of match the ambitions you have for your own team.
Yeah. Yeah, you, Dave?
I think there's a number of different players that I've always looked at and thought they're iconic. I think Schmeichel, when I was growing up as a United fan, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well, just for the goal in '99, but also many goals off the bench. But as a player that always used to stand out in my childhood, Gabriel Batistuta, because Syria had like a mystique about it at that point.
Yeah, I had that as well, similar.
And it's kind of like that we didn't have the access to it. So we would always watch Channel 4, right? And you'd watch Football Italia, and it'd be amazing. There's so many of those players that played in Italy at that point that you would have looked up to. Crouchy.
Gianluca Vialli was my, I was a Sampdoria fan. I looked like a right twat down at the park, because I had the home and the away ERG Sampdoria kits, right? Yeah. And I actually had the long sleeve Marseille, and that was a different story, because that was Chris Waddle, really. I just love Chris Waddle. Just the way he used to, the way he used to swing his shoulders and his ponytail would go the other way, like each way is just a swish. That's like, it's so much class about him. And then when he went to Marseille, it was like, oh my God. And then it was that great Marseille of Papin, Bolly, like incredible team that won the Champions League. And then there was that one, but I had Beppe Signori, do you remember him? Vialli, Van Basten before that, Hullet, that Milan team. I used to love watching Italian football, and they were real icons, and it felt like because they were so far away.
Yeah.
You know, like James Richardson sitting there with his pink paper and his little espresso. I just used to think, God, that's like so exotic.
I think it's different as well. Like, obviously you were playing, but not at the highest level. Like when you're a fan and you idolise these footballing icons, footballing greats, but then you end up in this strange position where you obviously are competing with great players, some of the best players in the world you've played against. Do you view them in the kind of footballing idol sense that you would as a fan? And was it hard to kind of disconnect that?
Yeah, because I think once you're around them, like I did my, it's almost work experience, if you like. Like I was a schoolboy and a YTS at Tottenham, but you still had so many kind of legends around then. It was like Les Ferdinand, who I'd grown up watching at QPR at Newcastle. People like David Ginola, like, and then when I think you play with them, you realise they're actually human beings. You know, when you're a fan, I think sometimes you just think you put them on a different kind of level. And like even playing against people like Ibrahimovic, like Cristiano, Messi, you realise that, yeah, of course they're like incredible players, but they are only human, you know, like.
But you have to play against them.
Yeah.
So how does that work? How does that differ? Do you go easy, or can you just can you treat them just as another player?
You have to totally detach yourself. Like when you say don't mean you're heroes, like there's this thing going around at the moment, you know, where like players are ignoring the kids and stuff. Like Arsenal did it, Leeds did it. Like it's horrible. I hate seeing it, to be honest. It's not nice. But in the player's defence, slightly is like there's those people like around that just you see constantly that sell the autographs and stuff, and you think like genuine fans are like spending hundreds of pounds on kind of line from these people that are just professionally selling them. So you do try and pie them and stuff like that, but in the process of pieing them, there's kids there. And
it's collateral, isn't it?
Yeah,
but like, I don't think it's acceptable, because I do think even if you're seeing regular autograph hunters and everything, you see a little kid,
like, but this is what I do. So this is why I was always on it with the kids. Like you'd always try, and because I was that kid, and I remember being there. And the reason I said Justin Channing was because I remember how good he was with me. Like when I was a kid, you know, I did this QPR. Martin Allen soccer scored. He was the player that came down, and I was like, he was great, and I had a picture of him, and I was like, wow, like. He's a professional footballer, you know, and like I'll always remember him, you know, because he was nice. Whereas, you know, when you imagine being a kid and, you know, I didn't really have anyone who crushed me like that, like, but it would feel like, you know, like, oh, why is he ignoring me?
How would you make amends for that?
Well, when you see these kind of viral videos going on, I think back in the day, obviously, if you walked past a kid who you didn't know was there, you wouldn't be captured on, you know, you hope to God they don't know that the kids there, you know. Obviously the mascot, things can be twisted as well. Like you got to remember that. The majority of footballers that I know would stop for kids. You know,
some managers would send you back if they viewed it as nasty, because a lot of the footage you see, and you're right, things can be manipulated, and actually the angle of a camera. I'm not leaping to a defence here. I'm just saying, but. You hear stories of managers who would send players back out, or, you know, the players that run into the tunnel at the end of a tricky season, that kind of thing. And managers would get you out, you know, and go see the fans. Or if fans have travelled for a long way to a game, certain managers, you know, would absolutely bollock them to... You must have seen that.
Yeah. I always sort of prided myself on the fact that I would always try and be as friendly to you know, anyone I've met who wanted a picture or autograph. I'd never tell them to piss off, or do you know what I mean? I'd always try and be accommodating, you know, and sometimes too much. But like, I think there are plenty of footballers out there that do a lot. You know, it's
kids can be pricks as well.
Yeah,
though.
and also,
you do,
yeah,
like,
you know, there's those stupid
remember.
pricks that go for the high five, and you know, then they pull it away and do that one.
Well,
you know?
Stevie G got one once, didn't he?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Don't want to get caught with that either.
Yeah, let's in their defence, Dave. Kids can be pricks.
They can be. They can be, but
my own can be. You know, as I'm sure yours can.
How does it feel to actually think that you're a footballing icon for some kids? The other way around.
Honestly, do you think you're a footballing icon?
No, I think icon is a big word. Like if I sat here and went, I'd say I'm a footballing icon. I think I'd be a bit twatty. But
it's twatty to say it yourself, but deep down inside,
I think I'm well recognisable.
Yeah.
And I think people would recognise me. When I think of icon, I think of a maverick. I think of someone like Cantona, or like icon is like Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, Beckenbauer, Cruyff. I think that's a footballing icon. I think it's banded about like legend, icon, bit too.
I think
readily.
icon is when a kid is the mascot and looks up and you see their face go like, can't believe it. Was it the one with Rooney? I think it is.
Where he looks
Seen
to
a
the
few
side.
great ones.
Was he other kid? Was he other team's mascot? I think it was. And
Yeah,
he
he
looks,
looks
but he's holding the hand of a player, but I think he's looking at Rooney lined up next to him, just like staring him up and down.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's amazing. I think when you're that young and you like look up to someone like that, if you get to meet those, your heroes, it's phenomenal.
Talking Brazilian Ronaldo, why was he iconic for you?
Oh mate, I used to watch him. Like when he went to Barcelona, it was like I've never seen anything like it. Then even at Inter Milan, when he had injuries at Inter Milan, but then I used to watch the whole game. So I'd record the whole game. Me and Ledley King actually, and we used to watch back the whole 90 minutes just in case, like the moment he got the ball. Then we'd rewind his little bits of skill, and we'd watch his goals. And I mean, I must have hours and hours of VHS footage of Ronaldo, which is mad, isn't it? That's Statman vibes.
I'm excited. But talking about Ronaldo, one of the things when you look at his statistics, someone did some analysis. I think it was an account called like Barcelona Stats, like about 4 or 5 years ago. One of the things with Ronaldo that was so unique was the amount of goals that he scored after completing a dribble. In a sense, it was Messi-esque, where he scored, 5 goals in his career after beating 3 players.
Unreal.
In a sense, that's kind of what you're talking about. A Cruyff, a Ronaldo. They have that iconic ability to carry a ball and beat
Go
a
past
score
people.
a goal.
It's nothing better than someone who can go past people. It's like, it just looks good, doesn't it? And Ronaldo, yeah, Messi, these types of players. But when I was growing up, I think it was Paul Gascoigne. I think, at Chelsea, obviously, had Kerry Dixon. And then obviously it moved to the new kind of breed of player like Gianfranco Zola and Gus Poyet. We saw, Ruud Gullit came. When Glenn Hoddle came, I remember watching Glenn Hoddle and just thinking, this fella's on a different planet. And then obviously the Brazilian Ronaldo and Vialli, these types of players, these are the ones I looked up to and why I stayed in the game, really.
With the kind of slightly more maverick player that becomes iconic maybe for their behaviour as much or their attitude as much as their talent, Cantona, for example. Is this a change from managers, do you think? Do you think that football culture, I guess, has changed over the last few decades? But there was a big shift in the 90s, I think, with different management style, different way of controlling players, and maybe like social media accountability now as well.
Cantona, Di Canio, those kinds of players, like proper like characters, weren't they? And like you say, there's a lot of the off-field stuff made them more like Zlatan, the way he talks, right? He backs it up, which makes him on a higher level. Like if you say things and put yourself under that much pressure and then back it up, I always think that's a big shout.
Yeah.
What about the players that kind of have that maverick attitude? Like a Mario Balotelli, fireworks in his house, all the things that have gone off the field, but then doesn't back it up. How would you see those people within the sport?
I mean, like I say, you're putting yourself under so much pressure. Like back in the day when it was, I'm talking in sort of 90s, like even white boots was pressure. Do you know what I mean? Like if you wore a pair of white boots, you were putting yourself under unnecessary pressure. Because like if you're a bit shit, it's like, oh man, look at this clown, you got white boots on. So if you're giving it out, about how good you are and this and that, and not backing it up, it's the same vibe, isn't it?
Have you noticed that when you talk about footballing icons, to be fair, you said Schmeichel, it's never a goalkeeper, is it?
What, like a hero?
Yeah.
Nah, it just wouldn't it? Wouldn't be.
You're never going to say a goalkeeper is a hero.
No, there's always so much more to celebrate than keeping balls out of a net.
I just sometimes think we need to get the balance right. We're very anti-goalkeeper on this podcast.
No, I think there's been I think of some of the characters and sort of iconic goalkeepers. I'm thinking Oliver Kahn, Peter Schmeichel would definitely be one of them.
Peter Schmeichel, I'd say the same with referees. I think certain referees are footballing icons. Same with managers. I don't think it is just a player thing as well. I think
Kalina's iconic.
Kalina.
You know,
Mike Dean.
as a referee, Mike Dean, of course, probably more so than Kalina.
Do you know if Mike Dean had a Italian name, I think it would be a totally different situation. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Crouchy, could you give him an Italian name?
What about a Brazilian one?
yeah.
Dinaldo.
Dinaldo. Michael Dinaldo. One of the greatest referees to ever walk the earth.
He actually would be. You know, if he did one of those stepovers and he was called Michael Dinaldinho.
Mickey D to you, Crouchy.
Yeah. I mean, he'd be iconic without doubt.
Do you think players are sometimes, I don't know, like maybe players that you've played with as well, like they stand out in the football world and they become these icons that you must see as well, even when you're playing with them? I think even players like Modric, for example. But is it quite hard when that reputation comes for them to for you to level up with that, for them to shake that? Because I guess you're playing with players that you just know are so loved in football. Does it put a weird separation between you as teammates?
No, I think
does it ever play into training or anything?
I think there's a huge element of respect when you're playing with someone of that kind of caliber, or who's got to that kind of level. Like obviously, playing with England with David Beckham, for instance, like he's got to that level of kind of like out fame or sort of status, you know, and then you've got like, you know, and that's just the whole package. I mean, he's David Beckham, right? So you're it's like a Hollywood film star playing football with you, and that's literally what he's become, I suppose. But then you've got like Luka Modric, or like you say, players like that who have maybe been a bit under the radar, that have achieved kind of like, it's like the footballing purist, if you like. They've become such icons just through being very quiet kind of off the field, but just their on-field performance has just been
He's an interesting example, isn't he? Because he isn't loud and you don't really read too much about him. And
there's a huge respect inside the game. You know, it's like players like Xavi, like Xabi Alonso as well. Like players who achieved that kind of level of like fame and sort of fortune, and you know, just through the titles they've won, and the big games they've been involved in, and the sheer consistency without doing much media work, without doing much outside of the game, just being a football kind of purist. And you know, the respect obviously within the game for those players is immense.
For those two players, David Beckham and Luka Modric, what was the similarities in training?
That's the thing, like with David Beckham, obviously there's so much noise around him, I think, that it takes away actually from just how dedicated he was, just how hardworking he was, just what a talent he was. Because there's so many others kind of outside things going on. I think with him, he's so, I mean, whenever I saw him, like he would probably work as hard as, you know, and there's anyone in training, like on his game all the time. Just his consistency in every game as well. Like, and maybe he's not talked about, like, we've got like the best midfielders. We talked about Steve. The debate's always Gerrard, Lampard and Scholes, right? And you think, well, David Beckham has to be part of that conversation. Like, you forget just how good and talented he was as a player, right? Really, I think.
No, he was a great player, and I think, but he did have this whole sort of fame and icon status. It was worldwide. But when you were with him in, say, the England setup, did he get treated differently because of it? Like, he got the nicest room. As you're walking out the hotel, everyone's sort of looking at Beck's. Like, yeah,
I mean, he wasn't different at all as a person around the place.
I mean, more the circus of him.
Yeah, you couldn't help but notice the stuff around him, without doubt. I think, and I think under Sven, he did probably get the nicest room, yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah, I'm not going to... Yeah, definitely, yeah, especially when he was captain. Like I said, there was a lot going on around him, but within the dressing room, within the camp, he was always spot on.
You must have showered with someone. Like, it's weird, like your experience of iconic footballers as well.
You're just there to play football, you know, like you do, and then you have to.
But then you'd see younger players coming in and parching Beckham to kind of
parched, yeah, you know. What I mean? Yeah, I saw one player trying to take a sly picture of him at the dinner table. I saw it happening. I was like, oh no! And I heard the. Oh no, what's he gone for there?
So Crouchy, you mentioned the likes of Georgie Best, Maradona. Do you think there's extra pressure being a icon, whether that affects a player?
Yeah, I think it all depends on what type of character you are as well. But we've seen great players like Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, for instance, like so dedicated to what they're going to achieve. But those players you've mentioned, like back in the day, they might have been different characters, and we love them for it. But like because they are sort of men of the people, if you like, they've pulled in every single different direction. It's like Gaza, George Best, Maradona, those players you mentioned, like the weights of the nation are sort of on them. And then, how did they get that kind of release? And like what Maradona did at Napoli and, the people that were surrounding him and, obviously watching the documentary and things like that, like you just think, how is he even playing football in that kind of scenario where everyone wants a piece of him? And then obviously he needs a release and he turns to various drink and drugs, and same with George Best and unfortunately Gaza as well. Like we loved him as a player, but we loved him as a personality, and then it was like everyone's watching his downfall, and he comes back. It's like a soap opera, isn't it? And he's not had the help that he needs, and it's quite sad to watch, especially being such a massive Gaza fan now. I hope he's doing better. We were supposed to have him on the podcast once, and obviously he had a few issues at that time. But one of the greatest players of his generation, and a reason a lot of players of my generation are playing football was Paul Gascoigne.
Have we got better at that, at managing these icons to try and help them get away from the negative side?
Yeah. I look at the way things are now. Like you used to just train and just be left to your own devices. And yeah, of course, there's an element of that now. But I just think the players are so much more educated in what they can achieve in that short space of time. Really, if you think about it, it's like 18 to say 33, 34. In that short space of time, you can really, really achieve something big. You can. The financial benefits are huge. The obviously that you can win things. You can have the best life given to you if you just knuckle down in those periods. And I think that is drilled into people now, and they're educated on the media, on dealing with the other sides of the game as well as the football side. So I'd like to think it's much better now. Yeah.
What about someone like Neymar? How do you guys see Neymar? Is Neymar a football icon?
What a player.
Yeah.
I love watching him play. And you think about like the goals he's scored. He's carried Brazil for years.
But why do you ask that, Dave? Do you think do you think he's not a footballing icon?
I think it's a really difficult one, because I think if he continued with his trajectory early on in his career, Santos, the star that broke out, the Barcelona front three of Messi, Neymar and Suarez, there was a level to Neymar that he could have got to, that potentially the move to Paris hasn't been the best for his long-term career in terms of winning trophies, winning the Ballon d'Or, when that was the idea.
Yeah.
Because I think Neymar's had some iconic performances, one of them coming against PSG, the 6-1, the comeback, a goal, an assist and 2 goals, unbelievable performance. That was iconic. That was the level that he needed to continue at, in a sense of kind of stepping away from Messi. And I suppose that's quite a difficult one, that we do forget the players that played with Diego Maradona, that played with Gaza, that played with Waddle, that kind of link it all together and grow. They kind of need that foil, some of these legends.
Yeah, but they're massive players. And I think it's hard if you're that big as a player to not be iconic, because you've got a huge fan base. There's probably a country that adore you. I think what we haven't touched on so much in this podcast so far is kind of icons of football that weren't necessarily the biggest names, the most famous. Maybe it could be one moment, couldn't it? Off the top of my head, I'm thinking when Lloyd Doyley scored for Watford. This is a guy who hadn't scored, and he scores this goal, and fuck me, the place went mental. That guy's a legend at Watford. Are there players that you can think of, Crouchy, who are kind of iconic for alternative reasons?
Yeah, there's you don't have to be the best player in the world, do you? But you have to score an important goal. Like Divock Origi is an icon at Liverpool, right? True. And you can't say that he's been one of the best forwards to walk through the doors at Liverpool, but he's scored in some of the most iconic games that Liverpool fans will remember for the rest of their days.
Isn't that amazing?
Brilliant.
It's unbelievable. Amazing, really. But then I think back to my youth, was like players like Roy Wegley, Andy Impey at QPR that I used to love watching, Darren Peacock, Jan Steichgau, Ken Moncau, Ellen Johnson, players that you wouldn't think of. Gavin Peacock, I was there when he hit the bar in the semi, and there's little moments that you think that they're just important in my life, so I'll always remember them. And I got to play with Gavin Peacock at QPR, and it was the year, I think. I mean, he scored. He was Chelsea's top goal scorer. He was brilliant that year, and then I got to play with him, and I was like, wow! That was my first year in professional football, and I was like, I'm training with Gavin Peacock. I couldn't believe it, and that was the point where I was the kid, the fan. That was how I sort of turned it, and then I still speak to Gav actually. Now he's a priest in Canada.
Is he?
How mad's that?
Wow.
Moving on from the QPR point, it just a thought came through my head. What about a player that the streets never will forget? Adil Tarat at QPR.
Mate, I was at Tottenham with him before he went to QPR, and he was in mainly in the reserves. He didn't play much for the first team. Wow! In training, I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" Like this, he's the best in the world. I think he's the best player in the world. There was one part, and I was like, "Why is this kid not playing? He's the best player in the world, not in the team, in the squad." Oh my God, it's just so much talent.
Looking into it, it was interesting to find out that he came to Spurs because Clive Allen told Harry Redknapp that he was the new Zidane. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. I saw it.
Is that good?
Yeah. If you'd have said, I don't know, when he was doing things at a young age, you would have gone, this kid could be the next Zidane. The problem is you saw it at brief thing, and, he would do it in the wrong areas. And it was frustrating for everyone, really. I think he did then build himself back up. He went to QPR, obviously Benfica, and played a weird holding role. And I was seeing that was strange. But he was the type of player that would rather get a nutmeg than score. But as for potential, potentially one of the best players I've seen.
Because he had an absolute mad season. I think one of the first seasons at QPR. He had 40 goal contributions. So he scored 19 goals and got 21 assists.
That's unreal.
He was player of the season in the Championship. And I remember watching him and just thinking, like Crouchy saying, he's incredible.
Oh, mate. But you look at those players, like Ravel Morrison, if you speak to Rio, he'll tell you about, I think one of the best young players he's ever seen. And you just think, for whatever reason, it doesn't work out. There's so much more to the game than just natural ability, and but Adele had it all. He really did.
Right, should we do a couple of messages before we go?
Yeah.
I don't know when San Marino's back.
San Marino's picking me up in a minute. But yeah, all good.
Come on, let's try and get a couple.
What, are you looking for an update on the smear?
No, what do you mean?
Should we do this message from Matt, Chris?
Yeah, let's do this message from Matt.
So I've got a message from Matt here. I don't know this lad, but deserves a shout out on the pod. You wondered who grows up wanting to be a ref. Here you go, Mike Dean in the making.
I like this. I saw this. This is very cool. So this is a lad in all his referee clobber. So Matt wanted us to see this picture of this young referee. He sort of quote tweeted from an account called Team Grassroots, and it says this: shout out to my son, a 15-year-old ref. This season he's been shouted at, sworn at by parents, coaches and players, but today as he walked off the pitch, he got a round of applause from the parents, even though he gave a red card today. The parents from that team said it was the correct decision. Couldn't be prouder of him, and just hope today makes him want to continue doing something he loves. # no ref, no game.
Oh.
And it's the lad here, so we don't know his name, sadly.
No, we got to find out his name.
But I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll hear this.
Do you know what? If you do hear this, you got to get in touch with the pod, because I feel like we should give him a prize. I mean, look at him. He's so happy, isn't he? And like you say, no refs, no game. That is exactly right, isn't it? Like young referees, coming through, and like the fact that people are giving it out. Look at him. Like, how can you give him stick? Like as a parent, like that.
Shocking.
It's outrageous, isn't it?
No, I don't know. And we talk about referees on this podcast, and obviously we've had Mike Dean on. We've had a number of referees on this podcast, and we have in the past said like, who, if you're into football, it's a bit of a strange thing to get into refereeing. But we should also caveat that with it's amazing seeing people, and I think this was a big turnaround in your head as well, Peter. It's you forget that with all these big referees, there's a backstory as to why they got to become a referee.
Yeah.
They love the game so much, but they love it through a different lens. And this lad who's 15, and I'm sure we will find out, you know, we just want to say from the podcast, congratulations. And also, it sounds like it was a brilliant day, and we should encourage young referees.
100%, yeah. Good young referees like that. Well done. I'm sure the parents are very proud of you.
Yeah, nice.
Right, yeah, I got a message here from Brad. He says, my ex-missus was Argentinian and she took me on a family holiday to Buenos Aires. Her dad took me to River versus Boca and it was fucking carnage. Firstly, he walked down the street with full of psychopaths selling the most amount of beef I've ever seen barbecued. Yes. The RGs don't know what a burger is. Instead, they put an entire cow on a fire and scream at you. 2, once you get in, half the North Stand is empty and I asked why, and then 2 minutes into kick-off, all the ultras come in and have a tear up. Flares go straight onto the pitch and fights begin. Thirdly, they have no away fans. You know it's carnage when you can't even have away fans in the crowd. The atmosphere is ludicrous. I reckon the RGs would be partial to a lout. If you're up for it, I can be the guide for the match.
I think you said you wanted to go to this game.
I do want to go to this, yeah. It's one of those things I think you have to achieve, I think, in life. Dave, you've done it, haven't you?
No, that's one that I want to do.
I feel like you have to. My dad's done it. And he said, obviously, you know, he's been to games all his life since the 70s. And he thought, you know, he was out there filming. And he said, I just want to get in the mixer. And they were all like, no. And you can't. He was advised against it. And he could see why. I think the moment it kicked off, it was the similar kind of vibe. It was just a lot of angry Argentinians, quite aggressive.
We've got to go to Casablanca to watch Raya as well. Seen some videos knocking around Instagram. They know how to create an atmosphere. Really? So, we're going to do that, fly back via Morocco, and then we can come back.
Well, I still haven't done an Old Firm. Like, you know, it's on our doorstep. I haven't done a El Clasico or an Old Firm. So
I like the idea of collecting derbies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ticking off the football's biggest derbies.
Yeah.
Don't know if anyone's done that as a sort of tourist.
Oh, they will have done.
A derby tourist.
I think someone could get in touch, right, and help us complete this mission.
Well, I'm doing the Milan derby. I'm doing the Milan derby in the semi-final. In the game. So looking forward to that.
Oh, it's a touch your job, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's worse out there.
Yeah. We got a message from Owl here. It's hard to tell because it's typed. It might be a message from AI because the robots are coming, people.
They are, aren't they? I called it in 2006.
Yeah. Are you their leader? Are you the... Has this always been a signal to...
They're not going to kill me,
let's fucking take the humans.
Do you know what? If we can imitate them, we can become them. You know what
I mean, we should all be worried. I think every job can be replaced by a computer. Are you a computer, Dave?
Pretty. I'm about 90%. Yeah, 95%.
Oh, Dave's dead. You can get rid of him. Oh my God, you can imagine, you just type it in and go bang, all the stats are there.
I just wonder if you are AI.
Would an AI tell you
if we
was
probed your VIP backdoor experience, would we find a load of sort of microchips and
hard drives?
I found it really strange when we sweeped his computer and found nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was like he didn't exist.
Yeah, if you missed this, we were around Crouchy's house and he's got one of them nice Dyson vacuum cleaners, but it fires out a little UV light to show all the dust and everything. Yeah. So we decided to scan using the UV light Dave's computer just to see what showed up. It was like suspiciously clean, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, too clean, if anything.
Yeah, and we all know robots don't jizz.
Yeah.
No comment.
Yet.
Should we get into the message from a fellow AI?
Yeah, so message from AI.
Oh yeah, we haven't even started yet.
Hi Peter, loving the podcast since the start. I'm a Leeds fan from Surrey, brackets mother's family, all from Leeds, so went there for my first game and stuck with it ever since. My son was born in Norwich. We now live in Mallorca. There's a lot to keep up with here. His friends support Man City, Barcelona, Madrid, PSG all at once.
Pardon?
Last season, when he was 6, I saw my opportunity to firm up the allegiance for him to be a Leeds fan. Leeds played Norwich and we watched it together. It was an incredible game with a last-minute winner for Leeds. We both celebrated like crazy. My wife was shouting, "But you were born in Norwich." I shouted louder, "We are Leeds, we are Leeds, we are Leeds." Job done. Just need Leeds to stay up this season now.
I don't know. How do you feel about that, Dave?
Yeah, number one, the kid's got to be a Norwich fan. Leeds, it's an interesting club. But, Norwich, where he's born, now living in, even going to Mallorca. Become a Real Mallorca fan.
I sort of read that wrong a little bit there. I think he is a Leeds fan, right? And his kid has been everywhere, but he wants him to be a Leeds fan. So what he's done, he's got him to watch a match, which Leeds have done really well.
Yeah.
His wife's trying to shithouse him.
Exactly. And I think there'll be a load of people here who are parents, and you do have to kind of indoctrinate your child to a certain extent, like you want them to.
We've been through this, haven't we? And I just said, it's like with the Allegiances episode. I'm so disappointed that I can't really make my child support a team, and that I think it's bad for them and me.
Starts with the little teddies that you buy, doesn't it? Like my son,
little kit and stuff.
He's got a little Harry the Hornet there, which is his favourite one. That and a giraffe. Can't figure it out. But he loves that.
Everyone loves a tall animal.
But
I don't know what that means.
Also, can we very quickly talk about the fact, because people will be spotting this if you're watching on YouTube, you've got a yellow tongue.
Have I?
Yeah, it's really yellow.
I don't know. I had a Chinese earlier. Do you think there's something to do with that?
Is that what it is? Really?
Yeah, Ab said to me I had a yellow tongue as well.
It looks like you've been having it off with Marge Simpson.
No, it really is yellow. Yeah. I've swallowed bark.
Oh God.
That sounds really bad.
That sounds really bad.
That sounds worse than actually swallowing a Simpson.
A little suspect. We'll check your computer.
Yeah. Don't swallow bark, kids.
One more message.
Spit him out.
Message from Rich. Hi guys, quick message to let you know. We also used to have a cockle man who would come around our local pub in Wrexham. He turned up in his Jaguar each time, so he was clearly doing all right for himself. As he carried his wicker basket of goods between the tables, there was no greater joy than shouting across the pub, "Have you got any mussels on your cock?" Or "Have you got crabs?" Keep up the good work. From Rich.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah, that is good. Got any muscles on your cock?
I think this is a thing that used to happen. We talked about these cockle people and seafood people. There was a seafood one in Southampton. I used to see them in a nightclub called Jesters. And it feels to me that there's less and less of this.
We had them at Isleworth. We were at the Conquest Club, and they used to come on a Friday night, and he'd always come, and I'd have a blackcurrant and water, and I'd have a little. They come in a little pot, didn't they? And he'd have like a little sauce. I remember.
Yeah.
Prawn.
You know, like the Mary Rose.
Or whatever it's called. That one.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah,
sauce.
that's nice. But it feels to me that it'd be something we'd like to encourage, And there's good opportunity there because people did love it. You don't see as many about a little sort of cockle boy or cockle woman.
Yeah.
I just mean like going around the pub, I guess.
Yeah. Like,
and I think this with the football sometimes. In America where they have people moving between the stands selling food. I'd like to see that at the football. I'd like them to at least try and do that a little bit.
Yeah.
With the big hot dog sort of thing.
I don't know. Yeah, I do get you. But
half time, you don't have to experience it. It's a fucking pain in the arse, man. Yeah. Getting food. It's almost not worth it.
Also, I've been to a few American sports and it takes away from the game watching, I think. There's so much going on in the stand. Like, there's a big fella pinging out T-shirts in a T-shirt gun. And there's friggin', what they called corn dogs flying around, and they're throwing in crisps and people are catching them and they're all cheering and there's a game in the stand. I don't want to see. I don't want to see games.
You think it's distracting?
A bit from what the game is, what you're there for.
We're not far off drones, I imagine, Dave, as well, delivering food to the.
We're looking to build that in part of the AI experience.
I think that'd be great. I think if there was things from the sky that could hover above you and drop a hot dog on you.
What's wrong with that? I know someone who played a golf course recently that had a drone.
Yeah, I've seen this.
Droned it out. And
just
hovered there, beer drone, like 4 beers. You're only playing 4s, right? You got four pints. And they just drone it out. You order it on an app, drones over, just take the beer off.
That'll be pubs
and then you carry on playing golf. I mean, that's the future.
How does it not spill?
I'm not the drone expert here, but
we used to have one, ironically, on the podcast, Warren, with his drone, didn't we?
Where's Warren gone?
It feels he's gone quiet.
He really has,
We should. Yeah, hope you're all right, Warren. Anyway, let us know.
Warren, get in touch. Let us know if you're all right.
We used to use Warren because he's a man who lived on the Isle of Wight and had a drone. and he used to make quite creative videos to advertise
Brilliant.
the podcast.
They were
was-
fantastic, I thought.
I feel we do need another sort of reboot on that kind of advertising push. And people were brilliant in what they did. They write in the back of dirty vans, and Warren had his drone, and between the two of those things, it was really great guns with it.
Advertising concept was let's write in vans, stickers in urinals,
Which
or
still
in
happens,
toilets.
but
I see them.
I actually don't know where people get the stickers.
Yeah, I've never made them. We've never made them.
We've never made them, so people must be going to away games with which
Printed
would look
stickers.
amazing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even know how to go about doing that.
No idea, but they've done it, and I see them quite a bit. They're everywhere. I saw there's one in San Siro.
Stop it!
Yeah, there's one right up in the gods where the away fans are. Someone sent me a picture of it, and just that Peter Crouch podcast in the San Siro.
That's great. Maybe we'd get on that.
in San Siro.
Yeah.
Or the Giuseppe Miazza Crouchy, either one you want to call it.
Don't let James Richardson after me.
Yeah, we'll look into that because I think it's good. I mean, we probably can't encourage it, but if you want to responsibly use some stickers, like
I like this sticker.
yeah,
Let's get stickers out there.
yeah.
And Warren, get in touch if your drone's still up and charged.
Great podcast today, guys. Really enjoyed it. I think hopefully there'll be a lot of people that are keen to do a night as Jose Enrique. I think
that's what's really come out of this podcast today. I think for me, someone going out, Hollywood's in Romford, or Time and Envy, or perhaps Leisure World, as Jose Enrique, get yourself behind the rope in the back door.
Yeah, Dave's VIP back entrance, whatever it is. So what was it? Backdoor Experience.
Backdoor Experience with Jose
VIP
Enrique.
Backdoor Experience with Jose Enrique. Good luck. Let us know if you want it. Great podcast today. Chumbawamba, lads.
Back stronger.
Chumbawamba.